isn't it just circular reasoning to try and prove Christianity from the Bible? Well, what do I mean by that? Basically, the idea is that the Bible was just made up by Christians, and it's assumed to be true, and there's no reason outside of it to think that it is true. Well, is that the case? I don't think so. Before the Bible was the Bible that you have collected in the 66 books that it is in one sort of bound thing, it was many, many 66 books. And the New Testament specifically was 27 books. So far before it was collected as the Bible, these were individual letters and biographies and other writings that were circulating amongst the early Christian community. So do we have any good reason to believe that these are indeed true and accurate? Well, if you look at the actual manuscripts, the copies that we have of these documents, they are very accurate and they are very early. Without getting into the details, listen to what the scholar John Warwick Montgomery concludes when considering this question. He says that if you toss out the New Testament, then essentially you lose all of classical antiquity as well. Well, why is that? Well, because we have such good information for the New Testament, such good attestation of the documents, that if you had to throw that out and be consistent, you would then logically have to throw out all of ancient history as well. Alexander the Great, everything we know about the Egyptians, and so on. But we don't do that. So if we're going to be consistent, we need to come to the New Testament documents and treat them as historical documents on their own account. And when we do that, we find that they are accurate and reliable. So do we have anything from outside the Bible that then confirms what the Bible says in some way? Well, we do. We have quite a few. Let me just name three, for instance. The first is Josephus. He was a Jewish historian, and he wrote much, and much of that actually confirms what we see in the Bible. Things about the early church community, things about Jesus' trial and his death, and the like. We also have Pliny and Tacitus. These were Roman writers, and they confirm, again, many of the details that we have in the New Testament. And then there's the Greek philosopher Celsus, and he writes confirming much about the life of Jesus, and specifically that he was a miracle worker. Now, admittedly, they don't end or land on being Christians, but what they do is confirm much of what we see, basically bolstering the authenticity and the reliability of the New Testament documents as historical documents. Another pointer to the truthfulness of the New Testament accounts is archaeology. We have many, many archaeological finds that confirm what we see in the New Testament. Just one instance of that is the life and existence of Pontius Pilate, who oversaw the crucifixion of Jesus as he was handed over to the Jews to be crucified. Apart from the Bible, we didn't have any information about him until archaeological finds also corroborated what we see in the Bible. There are several other pointers to the truthfulness of the New Testament as well. We have the New Testament getting naming conventions of the time correct, getting travel routes of the time correct. If you read the book of Acts, there's many of these laid out, and they've all been proven to be very, very accurate for the time. We have eyewitness testimony included, we have embarrassing details included, and we have enemy attestation as well. Many people who weren't Christians, who didn't believe this at all, then suddenly, after the resurrection of Jesus, suddenly become Christians and attest to the truthfulness of these claims. And so the best explanation is that this is really just what happened. So in conclusion, I think we have very good reason to believe in the truthfulness and the accuracy of the New Testament, and specifically the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, which is really the core of Christianity. So it's not at all circular reasoning to come to the New Testament and to come to the Bible and use it to prove that Christianity is true, because these documents are trustworthy and reliable. But if you haven't ever picked up the Bible and read it for yourself, if you've never delved into this and seen it for yourself, I really encourage you to do that. Many, many scholars over the years have come to the Bible as skeptics, thinking that it's all just made up and there's no real reason to take it seriously. And in their sort of travels along the way, they've actually come to believe that this is true and this is reliable in what it describes, and specifically in describing the ministry, the life, the death and specifically the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And so if you've not read the Bible, if you think that, it's just a random book that's been made up a long time ago and is irrelevant, well, let me challenge you. Pick it up, read it for yourself, and see what you think. And be open to whatever conclusion it might take you to.